Hey, look, I'm wearing a different sweatshirt this week instead of my usual sweatshirt. Quarantine life, man, I'll tell you. I wear a lot of pajamas these days. All right, today I am talking to you about how to trust your instincts so that you can build the beautiful life that you have been dreaming of. I feel like a little bit of a broken record, but I'm just going to keep going anyway. The answers to the questions you have, the guidance that you seek for what to do with your life is inside. You could pay a business coach. You could read 1,000 books. I remember an employer once gave me "What color is your parachute?" because I was always struggling figuring out what to do next. So yes, even though I worked for him, he gave me this book. You can do all that stuff. You could take one of those, like, those career test things they make you take in high school or sometimes college that would tell you what you're good at. You can take your, like, Myers-Briggs test, like I'm an ENFP, and yeah, it does say that, like, being a teacher or an artist or a counselor, that sort of thing would be like a good match for me. However, none of that really, none of it knows you. Like, let's say that your soul has a blueprint, or your personality this go round of life, it has these specific little things that, like, really, really, really would make it feel great. No book, no program, no, like, coach type person, no one can tell you what that is for you. Only you know what that is. So until you learn to trust yourself, you might get lucky and just, like, fall into things that happen to be right for you. That's awesome. But if you are not in that position, if you are in a job that you hate, if you are in a relationship that just does not feel right, if you are struggling with whatever it is and just feel like this life is not the life that you felt like you were going to get, which is pretty common as you get older. I think a lot of us are, like, jaded by what we've ended up with. If you're in that position, this is the perfect time to start trusting yourself and your instincts. So here are the 3 steps that I'm going to encourage you to take to start doing this. Step number 1 is to think about a time when you didn't trust your intuition, or you did trust your intuition. Either way. So think back to a time when you felt that pull. You knew you had to pull over right away because, like, a deer was going to jump out on the road. Or the time you knew it wasn't the right relationship, or you knew it was the right job, or you knew, or for whatever reason. Like, I remember one time after dinner, things were just flowing and my daughter wanted to get ice cream, and we're like, sure, what the heck? And we went into this store, and I was like, oh, they have art on the walls. I should see if I can hang my art here. Like, things just kind of flowed. You know what I mean? I just went with what felt right. That's intuition can be that small. Your instincts can be that small, just like flowing to the next thing that feels right. It does not have to be like a lightning bolt strikes your lawn and leaves the logo of the company that you should apply to work for. It's probably going to be more subtle than that. Okay, so think about a time that you either did listen to your intuition, and think about, like, what happened after I listened to my intuition? Did things work out? Or this may have made a bigger impression. Think about a time that you, like, went against your instincts. You got into the elevator with that person who harassed you. You didn't tell your employer about the other employee who was making your life very difficult, even though you felt strongly that you could, or that you should. Think about these times when your intuition, when your instincts have come up and tried to speak to you. What did you do with that? And then how did you handle it from there? I know that I had 3 steps that I wanted to tell you about, but could you believe this is what happens? I write these things. I always say the same things over and over because they don't change. But then when it gets down to the nitty-gritty specifics, I can't exactly remember what I wanted to tell you. So you know what I'm doing? I'm referring to my own blog post. So I wanted to tell you, think about a time in your past. Oh yeah, okay. So then the next thing that I want you to do is to actually make a conscious effort to communicate with your inner voice, your soul, your intuition, whatever you want to call it. I would suggest either writing to your intuition. This is how I got started. or having an inner voice session with me. Yes, that's what I'm going to suggest to you to do. Only if your insides are like, yes, I want to do that. I'm not trying to sell this to you. I'm letting you know it's available because some people's inner voices are going to be like, oh yeah, that sounds good. But let's go back to the writing to your intuition part because anyone can do this. It's free. You get a notebook. I have a notebook right here that I've written to my intuition many times in. I have also used it to mix paint on the back because that's how I roll. All right, so you get your notebook and you write down your question and then you wait for an answer. Is it really that simple? It's a little more nuanced than that. It's a good idea to be in both a quiet space, like physically and emotionally. It can be more difficult to hear from your intuition if you have 3 children that are all attached to you and calling your name over and over again. If you're really, really, really agitated, it can be hard to get answers because you're just in a not great state. So being, like I said, quiet emotionally, breathing, doing a little short meditation ahead of time can help. And then just write down your question. If you're not getting answers to like a yes or no question, just say like, ask, what are your thoughts on this situation? Is there anything you want to tell me? You can just do sort of like channeled writing where you just like let things come up. If you're not sure if the answer came from your inner voice or your head, you can say, hey, where'd you come from? Was that my head saying that? You eventually, if you practice this, will be able to feel it. Like I know when it's my head and I'm like, no, let's try again. And also your inner voice, like your head wants to give you like more long detailed answers. Usually your inner voice is a little more succinct. Go outside, smile, I love you, breathe. So just practice talking to it. I mean, that's how you get to know someone in real life, right? By talking to them and feeling them out and learning to trust them. Just do the same thing with your inner voice, with your instincts. Sometimes you will get if you have gotten just a sudden impulse that you need to do something, it could be like if your baby was trapped under a bulldozer. We'll go with bulldozer. If your baby was trapped, like you would not be thinking. You would just instinctually go and do what you could. You know what I mean? Like there are times when it takes over and you don't have to do anything. But when it comes to little stuff, not little stuff, it's actually huge stuff, but like your career or love or like whether or not you should eat a bagel, like your mind really, 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 really wants to get in the way, primarily because it's been socialized that way. It's been told like you should do things this way, you should not do things that way. And you have internalized that and now you spew it out to yourself all day long. So practice doing this. You will develop trust. I hope that was my full thought there because I kind of lost my train. You can do this. You can write to your intuition. Like I said, I do inner voice sessions now. I'm certified to do them. And I have everything from like 44-minute sessions to 2-hour sessions. And it will show you like, oh, if I do these things, if I get down, if I get into it, I do have an inner voice and it does want to help me and it is helpful and it does love me. So that's a couple ways to try to communicate with your intuition directly. And then the third thing, so the first thing to do is to think about a time in your life when your instincts or intuition came through and whether or not you listened to it and what happened from there. Just like proof that listening to it is a positive thing and ignoring it can be a negative thing. It doesn't mean if it's negative that like your house set on fire. It could just mean that you had to be in an uncomfortable brunch meeting for 3 more hours with your Spanx and you should have just left when you felt like your intuition told you to. It could be that small. Okay, so that's the first thing, checking in and seeing when you've listened, what happened. Start communicating to your intuition. Start writing to it. Do whatever feels right to you. The third thing to try to learn to trust your instincts is to just take it one small step at a time. Your instincts might say that you need to leave a relationship or a job or stop going to CrossFit 7 days a week. Like it may tell you something and your mind may not like that. Your mind may get very, very, very scared and tell you that is a very bad idea. And of course you have to keep doing this thing that you've been doing. It doesn't matter if it feels like it's punishing you. You must continue. Do you really want to live your life that way? Do you genuinely, from your heart, think that continuing to force yourself to do things that make you miserable will help you create a grander life? I think not. So what is my point here? Take teeny tiny steps. You don't have to do this all today. If your inner voice seems to be saying like, perhaps that career in publishing books for puppies isn't right for you. If it's too scary to quit right now, you don't have to. In fact, you can say like, inner voice, do I need to quit my job right now? Like, not tomorrow, right now. Like, do I need to send an email right now? Unless your inner voice is like, yes, you don't, and even if it does say yes, you don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. Ask your intuition, like, what is the very next thing I should do? Sometimes mine says to go to sleep because I usually write to it at night. And I'm just like, oh, okay, I shouldn't be worrying about this anymore tonight. So just take teeny, 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 tiny steps. You can build an amazing life on teeny, 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 tiny steps. You don't have to make huge moves. If you feel called to, by all means, it's not necessary. So that's all I want you to start doing today. Take the time to start listening to yourself. You have the answers inside you. Follow your own compass, etc. Love you. Bye.